To review one of my favorite movies of all time, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. This is Rocket Raccoon's ship that he drives when he's getting away in the getaway scene in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 from 2023. Pretty cool set, one of my favorites, and one of the only ones I kept from the big bad breakup where I lost all my freaking Legos. Never forget. Alright, anyway, I will forget, it doesn't matter. But I do miss my Legos. Anyway, look, folks, we're reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 today. Once again, I will reiterate, one of my favorite movies of all time. Haven't watched it in a while. I've probably watched it 5 times within like the first 7 to 8 months of it being out. So, you know, it came out, when did it come out? Early 2023, I think? Maybe late. And I watched it through 2024. Anyway, great movie. Rewatched it a ton. Let's get into why it's a great movie and why I love it. First of all, 5. I'm going to just go 5 things, and it's just going to come off the dome right here. Ready? Funny, emotional, action, dialogue, plot. There you go. There you go. This movie almost feels like it has 2 movies in one. For about an hour and 45, it focuses on our boy Rocket. A lot on the boy Rocket and him getting to this getaway ship because he is getting experimented on. By the way, let me mention, after I watched Guardians 1 and Guardians 2, this movie is such a payoff. Even more. I enjoyed this movie even more than the times I watched it before because you realize the story was Rocket's all along. Guardians of the Galaxy main character is Star-Lord. I think without a doubt, you know it's Star-Lord. He's always in the front with the guns and da-da-da, whatever, right? And the music soundtrack is all based on Star-Lord. But if you really think about it, Rocket Raccoon's probably the best character. I think it's crazy that such a cool franchise, cool movie has Rocket Raccoon, a raccoon, as its best character. You hear about him saying, I was experimented on, I'm not a rodent, I'm also not a raccoon, right? In the first one. And then in the second one, you keep hearing him say, I'm not a raccoon, I'm not a rodent, stop calling me all this, you guys don't know what I went through, and he never explains it. This one, we get a big explanation of how he was experimented on, treated bad, and had his friends killed in front of him. Super emotional scene. A scene that makes you angry at the High Evolutionary. You're like, I want this guy to flip and die. You know what I mean? And it just, oh my gosh. This movie has so many things that I love from movies then in the future that kind of reuse things that I think this movie did and does so well. Spoilers incoming for Spider-Man Brand New Day. 3, 2, 1. Like in Brand New Day, where Spider-Man goes, I am both. Talking about Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Rocket Raccoon finds out he's a raccoon by seeing little baby raccoons, and he's trying to take them all with him. And then he starts getting hit on by the High Evolutionary. But he realizes how to get out of it and goes, I'm Rocket Raccoon. Freaking amazing. Absolute cinema. It's so cool. It is like the scene of the movie. And then everybody else comes and helps him because that's been his family all along. And what really gets me emotional, oh my God, I'm going to get emotional right now. There's a scene in his past life where he talks about, I'm going to go on big adventures and I'm going to drive us all around on our own ship. Which goes back to the second movie where him and Star-Lord are arguing about who's a better driver. And it's like, he's living his dream right there because he's with his friends, with his family, right? And he has a chance to kill High Evolutionary. And he says no. And they go, why? He says, because I'm a freaking Guardian of the Galaxy, right? Which is the whole story arc now of all of them not being killers and bad guys, but instead being the good guys who will even spare this person who did him so wrong. And there's a lot there. That's deeper than just a movie, right? Then we get to let me get to another plot line. Gamora is back in this movie after getting thrown off a cliff for the Soul Stone, but it's past Gamora before she knew Star-Lord. So he talks all movie long about, well, we were this, we were that, and she doesn't know him, dude, right? Which, once again, Spider-Man Brand New Day, spoiler, that's kind of what they do with MJ and Peter, right? Very much similarities. Although, in this one, it's amazing because Peter Quill, right, gets called out by Gamora, saying, why? What is wrong inside of you that makes me need to matter to you? Basically what she says. Crazy, but it's kind of true and he needed to hear it. And then Drax delivers you're jumping from lily pad to lily pad as women, and you need to learn how to swim. Right? So he goes, okay, you know, you're right. But you can tell she does rock with him, but not romantically anymore, right? But she does respect him towards the end of the movie. And then she says, oh, what a brilliant line. She turns away from him and goes, I bet we were fun. And he's like you would hardly know. He can barely get it out. beautiful. What an arc that is. How Star-Lord has to realize who he really is. And he was bouncing from woman to woman. Remember, the first Guardians of the Galaxy, he starts with some random pink chick, reddish chick, who is in his spaceship, and he doesn't even realize why she's there. Right? So he was really just hooking up with anybody, any alien. Gamora was the one that he actually really cared and loved. And then he has to let her go. Amazing. Drax is meant to be a dad. That's beautiful. He makes monkey noises for the little kids. Even though he can speak their language, he wanted to get them laughing and feeling good in a very high-pressure situation. And Nebula mentions you were meant to be a dad, which is so beautiful because that's his whole story arc completed as well. There are not many movies. They get to a third and, complete story arc after story arc and actually do it in such a good way. This movie does. That's why I love it. That's why, to me, this movie, I was thinking the other day, is a 9.5 for me. 9.5. And it's ranked number 3 on my favorite movies ever list. I have Dead Poets Society slightly ahead at probably a 9.7. Creed 2 is number 1 to me at probably a 9.8. Okay? No 9.9 or 10 have I seen yet. And you can comment down below all these movies that get critically acclaimed and everything. I don't care. These are my favorite movies. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is a 9.5. And it's phenomenal. And I'm actually going to bump it up to a 9.6 after this rewatch. Because now I even know more context from Guardians 1 and 2. What a movie. Thank you for letting me yap. This is such a cool set. Let's get out Rocket real quick maybe for you guys. Hold on. Many have clicked off. If you stayed, you're so awesome. But they actually give you baby Rocket Raccoon, right? A baby raccoon. And then they give you the actual Rocket Raccoon. He is driving the ship. I can't get him out. Look at him though. He's in there driving, right? And then his gun is back there. So, pretty cool. These, I think, go out. Yeah, look at that. These go out. Pretty cool. Okay, this is just a really cool set. And I had to get it because I love this movie so much. So glad that I kept, there's dust on it. This set, I did lose a lot of sets. So, rest in peace, Bowser Car. Okay, thank you guys for watching. This is Aflac time, and I will see you guys next time.